Should we stop hiring doctors who trained abroad? 02078622222 is the number. We're asking this after the Health Secretary, Wes Streeting, said he will prioritise British doctors over foreign recruits when hiring for the NHS. He reportedly wants to make it harder for doctors who trained abroad to come to the country, and he hopes that would appease resident doctors here in the UK, so-called junior doctors as they were, who are today being asked by their unions to decide if they want to strike over pay. Currently, about 20% of NHS staff are not British nationals, doubling since 2009 as the NHS recruited more and more overseas staff. So should we instead go back to hiring people here in the UK? Clemmie, what do you think?
Absolutely, we should be backing British. I mean, it's a nuanced issue in terms of, I was talking to Carrie who did my makeup earlier, and she said 2 weeks ago, a foreign doctor saved her mum's life. So, you know, there is that, whoever's going to save my life, I want. But at the same time, when there's so little incentive for British doctors to train, you do 7 years at university medical school and come out of it with no guaranteed job, it's quite demoralising, especially, I would say, in an age of influencing where it may be a lot easier just to give up all ideas of that and take a nice life doing a sort of at-home video for 2 minutes for a lot more money.
An Instagram doctor.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot of them already. I don't know, what do you think, Owen? Should we start to say, look, we're going to have homegrown?
Well, yeah, invest in doctors then. I mean, that's the problem because, I mean, the last government introduced a cap of 7,500 student places for doctors and dentists because of the cost associated. So we decided we didn't want to invest in our doctors. What do we expect? And also, doctors' pay decreased by 25% in the 15 years after 2008. Their conditions, they're overworked.
Well, there was a massive spike in inflation. That's why that happened.
Yeah, well, their pay didn't keep up with prices, is what you mean by that. Yeah.
The 1 year, 2 year spike.
There was a freeze on their pay, which means their pay fell. Well, that's not true. Their pay was falling before inflation. So that made it worse.
It's slightly a quirk coming off the back of the COVID and Ukraine.
No, what happened was the Conservatives introduced a public sector pay freeze. That in practice means your pay falls. And what you're then asking people is to do a very difficult job in conditions which are increasingly difficult because the NHS hasn't been invested in properly, but for low pay. And what people do then is they get recruited by Australia because they have better pay there and it's sunnier. That's the problem. We need to invest in our doctors here.
But OK, let's take that off the table, as sensible as that sounds, because that's not the issue.
But it is the issue.
The issue is whether you can save money. If you've got no money, which we're told the NHS doesn't, you save money by getting someone from abroad who's already trained, as opposed to training up somebody from junior doctor, resident doctor status, to, let's say, consultant here. But you hire a Kenyan consultant.
Yeah, but I don't. We've got to. I mean, you're saying that let's take off investing in the NHS.
Because this is where Wes Streeting's starting in this.
Yeah, well, he needs to. We need to properly invest and spend money on doctors in this country. We don't do it. We cap student places. Their pay's going up now a bit, but it's not making up for how much it's falling.
You agree on this completely?
Yeah. No, I'm saying don't introduce an arbitrary. We depend on foreign doctors and nurses. They keep the NHS afloat. I'm not saying stop them. I'm saying that he's going about it the wrong way. He should massively increase doctors' pay, and he should invest more in training doctors and nurses up. He's got it the wrong way round.
Right, OK. Mary in Wiltshire, hi. Hi, Mary.
Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
Now, I tried to phone on this similar subject last week, I think it was, with nurses. I run English tests. It's called the Occupational English Test. And every person who comes from abroad and wants to work in the NHS has to pass this English test. So it's reading, writing, listening and speaking.
Okay.
Now, while they're waiting to pass this test, because there's quite a waiting list, they work in care homes. So quite frankly, we've got some of the best staffed care homes, I mean, with the most qualified staff anywhere at the moment. So it would be a shame to stop that.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's quite interesting. So care homes are taking them while they brush up their English?
Yeah.
But the words brush up on your English fill me with slight fear. I don't want someone. If I'm an old person, I don't want someone who I'm, you don't
have, as a foreign doctor, you have to do a lot more than that. It's a very grueling process. You have to do. You end up doing it. It can take a while, and the final exam is actors play patients, and they do scenarios. And what they do is they test foreign doctors, not just capacity to speak English, but their bedside manner, because they want doctors to be able to communicate with people.
Why are we doing any of this when if we have access, this is what you're saying, access to the same skills in this country?
Yeah. We've just got to, at some stage, believe in our country and invest. And again, it's going to take more money, but we've got to give incentive for doctors and nurses to want to get into the profession and to learn. And we can't be losing them to an Estonian doctor.
Estonia, I use Kenya as an example. Do you think it's wrong for us to recruit doctors from Kenya where, as an example, that country is on its knees? They need to keep hold of their own doctors.
I mean, I don't know what their medical practices. I don't know what their universities are like.
Ethiopia.
I don't know what the training is, but I'm guessing ours is perhaps a little bit more rigid and a bit more, 7 years is a long time. Are they going to be as good? Who knows? I'm not.
I've just come back from Kenya. I wouldn't say it's on its knees, by the way, but there is. I used to think that it was a problem because we're just stealing doctors from countries who need it. But it's more complicated than that, because what often happens is those doctors spend a few years here and then go back to their country and take some of the skills they've learned here. It's also a misunderstanding because some of those people are training up to be doctors on the basis they're going to leave. So it's not as though they would stay in their own country anyway.
Is there not a risk, though, that the Kenyan doctor is going to, bugger off after 3 years and go back to Kenya? And then where are we?
Well, I mean, we've had a doctor who's helped a lot of patients.
Yeah.
But yes, we should also...
Also, if we didn't train him, we're not losing on the training, I guess. And also
no, we didn't train him.
Maybe it's good, as Owen says, that he gets skilled up here and then goes back. And yeah, I'm not casting aspersions on Kenya, but last time I went, it had a serious level of poverty there. But
it's very poor, yeah.
Yeah, well...
Yeah, it's not... Yeah.
Yeah. Mary, thank you. Susan in Somerset, hi.
Hello there, Jeremy.
Hey.
Welcome to...
Thank you. What do you think?
Well, I was saying to your interviewers that, researchers, that this is happening for me right now, and I really feel it very strongly. I'm a trained nurse myself, but I'm retired now, elderly. 2 weeks ago, my husband had an emergency operation for a heart condition that was urgent. He was taken to the BRI, put on life support, which he is still on. The nurses and the staff, all the nurses, apart from one that's been looking after him, are from different countries, India, Kenya, all over the world. Mm-hmm. He has been treated with absolute dignity.
Good.
We have been treated as the family with the same respect. His care has been second to none.
Good to hear.
And I would like to say that I don't know how the intensive care unit and the general wards, I'm sure, but my experience at the moment is about the intensive care. I really feel that I don't know what to do without them.
Yeah.
And
you've obviously been through a very, very tough time.
Well, you can tell it from my voice. It's a little bit difficult for me to even speak, but you can only say what is going on in the hospitals at the moment. Sure. And that is what the care we've been given. They've been from all over the world, and the care is extremely good. And he is coming through a little bit of sign of life yesterday from him. A little bit of reaction. Opened his eyes to questions.
Oh, good. And my only question was going to be, Susan, when you see Wes Streeting saying, Health Secretary saying, look, we're going to try and make sure it's British doctors who take those jobs, not foreign ones. Do you think, that's not really the point?
No, I don't really think it is, to be quite honest, because somebody's got to do the job. And if the people aren't coming up through, I'm a trained nurse, I'm a trained nursing sister, so I've been through it, but I'm older now, and we had very few foreign nurses in when I was actually nursing. And people were waiting to take the nurses and doctors' places, but the world's changed. Yeah. Now, and I think we're all in it together, sort of thing. Yeah. Well, listen, I wish you and your family well. I hope your husband comes through. Obviously, difficult time. It's a bit dodgy, but he opened his eyes to my voice yesterday, so that's a start. Oh, thanks, Susan. Thank you.
Well, that's a reminder of the sharp end there, isn't it?
Yeah, she put it really well, brilliantly,
Yeah.
and, you know.
But you're right. When you're in that situation, you know, of a car crash or heart attack in the street or something, it doesn't matter who does CPR on you. It really doesn't. Sandra in London, hi.
Hello.
Hey, what would you like to say?
Right. I think that when doctors and nurses are trained in their own country, that they're greatly needed in their own country. And because our health service is so huge, we go over to various countries, often very poor countries, and we sort of take the doctors and nurses that are really needed in those countries. And I don't blame the people who are qualified as nurses and doctors for coming over here at all, because they're trying to improve their lives. But really, it doesn't sort of take away from the fact that their own countries need doctors and nurses.
Yeah, I know. This is the really difficult thing. But then we have to also input the idea that maybe that doctor has free choice to say, I want to go and work in Manchester, or I want to work in Moscow. Well, not Moscow, or Melbourne. You know, she can decide that as well, the Kenyan doctor. I know why we fasted on Kenya today. But yeah, it's tricky.
Of course, but it is because of the financial situation in their countries that are so poor that they want to come over and get a better life than they would have in their own country. But, I don't know, maybe health should be more sort of a global thing where we all help each other out.
Thank you, Sandra, very much. Thank you. Later, it's the papers and everything else.